Hey everybody. This is so exciting. I have been so excited to do this. And welcome, good afternoon to everybody, and welcome to our show or welcome to our podcast. We we have been planning for this for actually I've been trying to put this together for 3 months, and I'm so excited because I have two amazing guests today. I have one of the top credit repair experts in the country. He's coming in from Denver. It's Mr. Skylar Weitzel from 360 Credit. He's the general manager with them, and also today I have a good friend of mine and also a good business partner. This is Roseanne Shannon. She owns Five Star Mortgage, and she's the CEO of the company. And we're going to be talking credit today. We're going to be talking credit in relation to real estate. So hopefully, we're going to be giving out tons of helpful tips and information to help you guys get what I am, the master of building dreams, getting your home. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And so, just to give you a little background, Skylar specializes in fixing people's credit. He's been doing that since the late 90s. And Roseanne has been in the mortgage industry for almost 30 years. And so today we're going to be talking credit and how to get better credit ratings in this challenging world. So today I'd like to, if we could, I'd like to just start with a quick introduction of Skylar. Maybe you could give a little more background and who you are, and then we'll talk to Roseanne here in a second.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for the invitation and for everybody that has joined the podcast today. Thanks for your time. The only thing more important than money is time. So I appreciate you spending some of it with us this evening. I've been in credit repair since the Dead Sea was only sick. I feel like I've been doing this forever. Granted, I feel like it's been 100 years since we didn't wear masks and have to wash our hands all the time. So I just feel like I've been in credit repair for most of my adult life. Before that, I worked with a real estate investor and real estate attorney who used to tell his students, first I'll show you how to buy property, and then I'll sue you so I can be the owner. And I thought, wow, this guy's got really a lot of nerve. But I've always been involved in real estate. I've always enjoyed helping people, all because the first time I bought my house, I felt like I was lost, and I wish I would have done a little bit of research and had a team around me so I didn't have to feel like I need to become an expert in like 75 different subjects. So that's what keeps me passionate about it, even after 15 years of doing credit reports over and over again. So thank you very much for allowing me to be here. I appreciate it.
For sure, absolutely. And Roseanne?
Well, I've been in the mortgage business since the 90s and seen a lot of changes. Um, One of my first clients, talking about credit, told me they had great credit. I pulled their credit report. They had 7 pages of bad credit. I did go through it with them, and turned out that this client had the same name as another person, and we had to clean all that up and show that all these accounts were not hers. So I'm familiar with, people that say they have good credit and then they don't, and then people that think they don't have any credit and they actually do and are able to buy. So it's just, you just have to run the gamut with people and their knowledge of where they're at with their credit reports.
So let me share with you why we put this together. Also, we're doing this as a customer service. This is a free webinar. And again, thank you for watching. We had a lot of people. We did this on a very short notice. So we know our audience is small, but we're going to be recording this. And the reason why we did it is because all three of us have conversations every day with clients. And the number one problem that we're facing with most of our clients is they're having credit issues. And it's really frustrating for you and for us when we know that you need a credit score of 620 to do my lease to own program. And then Roseanne has the same problem with her clients, and they just need a little bit better of a credit score. So we thought we would put this together in a credit sense in relation to real estate. So to kick this off, what I'd like to do is I'd like to have both Skylar and Roseanne share with the audience what the top 3 questions you get every day in relation to credit and in relation to getting a home.
Uh, I think the top question, without a doubt, is how does credit work? Like the most basic fundamental question of, I don't have any comprehension of credit. So how do they calculate my score? And for most people, it it's safe to assume that nobody took a class in high school or college about FICO scores or home credit requirements. So everybody is completely green to the entire animal that is credit. And more often than not, what they think they know is usually wrong. So it's not just educating them, it's undoing the bad habits and then showing them how it works. So that, and Roseanne, if you want to jump in, I'm not sure what your top question is, but for me, it's just how do I build my credit is probably the most popular.
Yeah, that's true. Most of the time, it's how do I build my credit? And then if they have already kind of bad credit and already ruined some accounts and have some collections, or then they're starting over, then it's how do I rebuild my credit? That's usually when I call you, Skylar.
Yeah.
And another one that is, I'm sure, Roseanne, you and I hear this all the time. I already paid this. Why is it still on my report? And that goes for old collections, defaulted credit cards, repossessed vehicle balances. It's like, I took care of this. Why is it still here? And explaining to people that, negative items can stay on your credit report for up to 7 years is a huge eye opener for a lot of people, because that literally means that David, you or I could have screwed up in 2017
Hmm.
and been perfect since then, but that is still going to hang around our neck like a lead weight from 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's, heck, for as long as I've been doing this, that's still tough for me to wrap my head around, because it's so unfair,
Yeah.
like just fundamentally unfair to people that have done the right thing but are still getting punished for years ago activities.
So some of the audience knows that I taught martial arts for over 30 years, and one of the things that we teach in martial arts is having a plan. And by creating this team and having this amazing team, we want to make sure that people understand that we can give you the plan, we can give you the action steps so that you can get your goals. You just got to keep on pushing, and you just keep doing it step by step, and you're just going to see those scores keep going up a little bit. But by having a plan and having some professionals like us to help you get through this process, you're going to get there quicker. So, you know, maybe you guys could share a little bit about having the plan. How long does it take? And, what I'm sure people are really concerned that they want in the martial art world that I've always trained people in. Have people come in and say they want to be a black belt tomorrow. We all know that that's not realistic. It does take time. You can't have it tomorrow. And I know Roseanne, she deals with people. I want to buy a house tomorrow, and then we have to develop this plan, and then we get there step by step by step. But by having a professional, you're going to be way better off. What do you think
For
about
sure.
that?
Yeah, true story. I usually meet with clients, and sometimes if they have a marginal credit, we will. I have a tool, just a simple tool that will say, pay a credit card down, or most of the time it's paying something down or paying something off. A lot of times people will pay it off and then they close it. Then they don't realize that actually doesn't really help their credit. So you kind of have to walk them through step by step. And those are simple things to raise a credit score. When there's more in depth, like collections, or defaulted credit cards, I think that's where Skylar would come in, and maybe he can jump in here.
Yeah, I definitely tell people to piggyback on what you had said, David, is, getting a plan, and nothing happens overnight, at least nothing worthwhile, other than Powerball and cryptocurrency.
Right.
That's a whole nother issue. But I tell people, when it comes to credit, nothing is permanent. That goes for good credit or bad credit. Granted, I feel like I have to work twice as hard to maintain my really good credit. I'm also super OCD about it, and I live, breathe, and eat, sleep this stuff. So obviously, I can't tell somebody how important a 720 is if I'm at a 610. But it's also, there's no such thing as permanently bad credit either. And I think that's the trap that a lot of potential homeowners fall into is they tried to buy once or twice or even 3 times and they got turned down. Maybe it was because of lack of income, maybe it was because of lack of credit, and the mentality of I'm just going to rent forever is an easy one to fall into. until you surround yourself with people like the three of us, honestly, not to completely brag about ourselves, but we should, because
Yeah.
it's the individual roles that the three of us play in the home buying process that allows a borrower to just focus on the home they want to buy, as opposed to, oh God, I got to worry about rates and I got to worry about inventory and how do I fix my credit. You can do all that on your own, but it's a lot harder if you surround yourself with a team and people that know what that next step is. That's all I want to do for my clients. I'm not going to talk to them about loan disclosures, and I'm sure as heck not going to talk to them about MLS listings. That's you guys' area of expertise. I just want to tell them what's the next thing to do when it comes to their credit. And it's usually the simplest answer of all: pay all your bills and stop applying for credit like you're desperate to borrow money from people. If you just do those two things, you're probably going to have good credit, like just naturally.
Yep. Well, as a lot of my followers know, I specialize in the rent to own program. The rent to own program, you have to have a 620 credit score, and you have to make $45,000 a year in income. But you know, I that's a pretty easy question for me when I talk to my clients. And I'm sure, Roseanne, you must get a ton of questions, and people are calling you and go, well, what does my credit need to look like? So if you could share with the audience a little bit about what does my credit need to look like? What kind of scores do I have to have? And maybe share some ideas and some things of how they can get into home ownership.
Well, the minimum score for an FHA loan could be as low as 580. I mean, it's kind of tough to get in at 580. I would say you need to have a 600 score. It's going to be a lot easier. Your FICO score also determines your interest rate. So the better your FICO score is, the better your interest rate is, no matter what program that you happen to be qualifying for, whether it's an FHA loan, conventional loan, or a VA loan. So, and like Skylar said, I mean, paying your bills on time, not having a lot of inquiries on your credit, and longevity on those bills is what really raises your score. If you have not closing them, but you can pay them, but paying them on time for a long period of time is what really raises the score. There is a 100% program, FHA, where you can get a first and a second. For the second is for the down payment. With a program like that, you need a 640 score. So most of the down payment assistance programs require a 640. You get into the jumbo programs, you're going to need a 700 score. So, but for our typical first-time home buyer, if you're in the 600s, you're gonna be okay.
Oh, we
And
got some
not
people
not to
coming in. Thanks. Thank you for saying that. That's my cousin in Florida. Um, so,
you've got fans, David.
and again, I just want to share with people that you, you're going to get frustrated, but we always can help you. We can help you get a plan, and we can help you get into a home. So that's the key. I want to move on to the next thing, and Skylar's been keeping these a little bit of a secret, but I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. And so there are a few little tricks. Like I said, you have to have a 620 credit score with my rent to own program. I do represent buyers, and then I usually send them to Roseanne, and we figure out what they can qualify for. But when I have a client, let's say they're at 605, and they need to get their score up to 620, there are some secrets and some tips, and we thought we would spend a little time sharing some of those. So, Skylar, if you got some tricks up your sleeve that you would share with the audience, we'd really appreciate how we could get somebody up a little bit on their credit pretty quickly.
So I'm definitely going to be stealing some of Roseanne's thunder on these, because these are probably suggestions that she makes to clients on a regular basis. But I've also got a couple that she might not be as familiar with. The very first way is find somebody in your immediate family that's older than you, that has a well-established credit card, that is willing to add you as an authorized user. Because if I were to add my son, for example, to my Capital One Visa card, he would immediately inherit 9 years of not just payment history, but length of credit history, because that card has been opened for 9 years. So he's getting double benefit. That works for Visa, MasterCard, and Discover. If you ask a relative to add you as an authorized user to their American Express card, you only get from today moving forward. So there's a little bit of a caveat to authorized user accounts, but if we're looking for that magic bullet of what's the fastest way I can find 15 points without having to go spend a ton of money or spend a lot of energy, ask mom, dad, aunt, uncle, brother, sister, sister-in-law, somebody that you're related to add you as an authorized user to their oldest credit card, because that will usually give you the most immediate bump. That's my first suggestion. Roseanne, would you agree? Is there a more magical bullet out there that I'm not aware of?
That's a pretty good one.
That's the one.
Do you have one you want to share, Roseanne, that you have as well?
Well, his is better because you don't have to pay anything down. You just
Yeah.
and you get a credit card that you can possibly use.
Depends how close you are with your cousin, right?
There is one other little item to that. If I added my son as an authorized user, I would have the ability to choose whether or not Capital One sends him a credit card with his name on it, or if I keep him unaware of that situation until he goes and finds out, oh, dad added me to his Capital One card. Thanks, dad. So you don't have to give that authorized user a physical card. You can just let them piggyback on your established credit. So that's why it's so nice. The second one that I oftentimes look for is people that get a Kohl's card for back to school shopping because they want 10% off and Kohl's cash, and they pay that card off. And after 2 years of not being used, that card goes into what's called an inactive status, which basically means Kohl's is thinking they haven't used this card in 2 years. We should probably get ready to close it out for them. If I find an inactive credit card, you see this a lot with Kohl's, Les Schwab Tires, Daniel's Jewelers, Zales, Care Credit, which is a big one. Care Credit people use for dental, vision, medical. You can use it for plastic surgery, I've been told. Care Credit will stay inactive for 36 months. If I see a situation like that, I will immediately tell the client, go out and make a $5 purchase on this inactive credit card, because by making a small purchase, it reactivates that account and feeds all that payment history and that length of credit history back into the scoring algorithm, which will oftentimes give them a jump as well.
I heard that by getting a secured credit card, that actually will, if you get a $200 secured card, will that pump your score up a little bit, or is that not true?
Yes and no. It depends on what else is on the report. And I hate to say it, but that is a very default answer for me, is it depends. Because if they don't have any credit cards open, yes, going and opening a credit card will help, because credit cards represent 30% of the overall score. So if you don't have at least one credit card, you're not participating in 30% of your number. The downside to that is it usually takes at least 3 to 5 months of payment history and seasoning before that card really starts to kind of give the score a shot in the arm. So for that scenario of needing to get from 605 to 620, it's going to be authorized user or inactive credit card that they go and make a small purchase on. Those are really the shortest timeline fixes. But you're also right. Getting a secured credit card will help. It just takes a little bit of history before it starts to really show those gains.
Understand. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit now, and I want to talk about, maybe you could share a little bit. We find that people are finding their credit, they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't really know. And it's always better to be proactive. And I'm finding that a lot of my clients they're surprised. They're like, oh my gosh, I got to work on my credit. So hopefully we can get to people, especially when they're younger and they learn. I have a 16-year-old daughter, and I want her to make sure she has good credit. But being proactive in that, maybe you could share a couple of things about credit as it is now. And I have read a lot of articles about credit and how important credit is going to be in the next, 6 months, 5 years. Skylar, can you share what you think credit's going to look like coming in the future and how important it is? Maybe you could share that with the audience.
Let me put it this way. If you don't have a 720 or higher credit score, now, 5 years from now, 5 years ago, you almost can't accumulate assets fast enough to compensate for the money that's being stolen from you for less than perfect credit. And to give a perfect example, Roseanne can attest to this. I've known Roseanne for probably 6 or 7 years now. I used to travel to Vegas about every 6 weeks before COVID. Before COVID, if you had a 580 credit score and a couple $1,000s in the bank, you almost had an automatic green light to become a homeowner. With a few exceptions. Like if you were
Right.
looking for a 7-figure listing and you only make 50 grand a year, that's not going to happen. But when COVID hit, it was like 580 is like you're a peasant. 620 is barely middle class citizenship, and most investors were so scared, rightfully so, that a lot of people might be going through layoffs or some sort of job forbearance. It was like 640 was the new gold standard.
Sure.
And if you wanted down payment assistance, you better be damn near close to 700. So just in the last 2 years, if you look at how much credit has impacted the home buying process, I don't think it's going to become less important in the future. And I mean, I can go on and on about this, but just one simple like number to throw out: the difference between a 620 and a 720 over the course of a 30-year mortgage. If you give me 10 minutes, I will explain to you how that 620 will lose nearly $500,000 in real losses compared to that 720. Because the 620 is getting robbed by everybody from their car insurance rep, their homeowner's insurance rep, their credit card interest rate, their 14% interest rate on their car loan. Like that stuff adds up. So what will credit look like in the future? I think let me preface this by saying my lifestyle is supported by selling credit repairs. So maybe you're asking the wrong person if credit is the best investment you could make in yourself, but there's a lot of arguments that say it is.
Man, that's some great advice. You couldn't have said that better. I mean, I really believe that wholeheartedly, and I definitely want to hear from Roseanne on this, what she thinks about credit now and in the future. But this is a serious issue, and I'm sure that our society is going to really start taking a lot more harder look at it and really start thinking about it. So, Roseanne, if you would share what you think about it now and the future.
Well, I think that Skylar's correct. I mean, people lose a lot of money. There's other things that are affected when you buy a house by your credit score. The mortgage insurance is different based on your credit score. Like Skylar said, the homeowner's insurance, your rate on your homeowner's insurance is different. And of course, the interest rate, which is the biggest amount that you pay. So definitely, it's important. The higher the credit score, the better terms you're going to get, the more options you're going to have um, to finance your home.
Hmm.
So those are things that are important. I did see during COVID uh, the restrictions and the guidelines tightened up with credit scores. They have loosened up,
Mhm.
but now with the interest rates going up a little bit, who knows? You just don't know.
That's another great topic. I think I want to maybe we'll finish up in a few minutes on that, where people are saying that they want to wait. They think that they should wait to buy a home. But I want to stay on this topic for a moment. I have one more subtopic on this category. And Skylar, I think this is probably where you're going to need to take over. Um, Basically, going back to the martial art analogy and people wanting to become a black belt tomorrow, again, people are going to say, I want to buy a house tomorrow. I want to fix my credit tomorrow. Maybe you could share with them, how long does it really take? And how long do they need? And what kind of a plan of action? And what do you recommend what the steps are? And just kind of give them an idea of how long will it take. And maybe we could relate it to numbers. Skylar.
That's a really easy 17-part question. The simple answer is we've been in business for over 12 years, and our average client typically sees their score improve by about 15 to 20 points a month. Now, that's an average, so all the statisticians out there can tell me what an average is, how worthless the word average really is, because how much is an average home in Vegas? Well, what are you looking for? But average client is with me for 3 to 5 months is the average timeline. Now, like I said, it all depends on their starting point and where they need to get to. If you guys have a 675 right now that's out shopping with a pre-approval letter, and they know that if they can get that collection from, I don't know, what is a company that half the people in Vegas have a collection for. Oh yeah, Las Vegas nightclub. Sorry, Las Vegas athletic club. I always
Right.
get those confused. They were the same thing. But you've got a Las Vegas athletic collections from 3 years ago. If we can get that removed and you get above 680, now you save $400 a month. That person might only be with me for 45 days. The person who is 2 years out of bankruptcy and hasn't reestablished any credit and only ever had a car loan that they didn't default on, that person might need 6 months. So it really, like, it depends, but there are some measuring sticks that we can apply as far as that 15 to 20 points a month. That's a pretty good timeline and barometer, if you will, on how long it's going to take to get somebody from where they're at to where they want to be. And a question I usually ask people is, if it took me a month for every year you spent not making credit a priority, would that be a fair trade? And for a lot of people that spent 10 years ignoring their credit, 10 months doesn't sound like a really long time. Oftentimes I come in well short of that expectation. But the last thing I want to do is overpromise somebody and tell them, hey, we're going to have you ready to buy a home in 90 days.
Yeah.
Because if they're not closing at day 91, the three of us went from rock stars to something less than that. And I only want to be a rock star.
I just got a comment from Caprice. Thank you for that comment. We appreciate that. And we, like I said, we're recording this and we're going to be sharing this with a lot of people. There's a lot of great information. I kind of lied. I do have one more topic on my list, and I think this might even be the most important one. So maybe both of you guys could share, what is the biggest impact that people can do? I've heard these horror stories where people get approved for a loan and then they go buy a car before the closing, and then they end up not being able to buy the home. So if you guys had, if somebody was really working on their credit and they really wanted to buy a house, what are the big no-nos to go do prior to getting that house? Roseanne?
Well, definitely do not go buy a car. Adding debt to your profile is not the best way to do it. Paying all the bills on time. I always tell people I have a little 10 commandments, and it's, don't go spend all your money. Don't go to the casino with your down payment. And don't buy a car. Don't add any new debt. Don't let anybody check your credit while you're in the process. And usually you're pretty good. And don't make any late payments. That's a big one. I'll have somebody say, "Oh, we were on vacation. I forgot to make my payment," and all of a sudden their score drops really quick. So those kind of things really make an impact.
So we're going to start wrapping up the credit part. I have a big surprise. I wanted to. I don't know. I may have leaked this out a little bit, but we have a big surprise for the audience and for anyone viewing this in the next 30 days. But I'm going to hold that just for a second. But before we move on, is there anything that either one of you guys had that you wanted to share with the audience in regards to credit that maybe I didn't ask or we kind of looked over a little bit? Is there anything else that you would want to let your clients know about in relation to credit and buying a home?
Skylar, you want to go first?
You can ignore your credit, but your credit won't ignore you.
Great advice. Yep.
I think too many people take the ostrich approach and just kind of bury their head in the sand and assume that time will fix everything. And they're partially right, but it's so much easier to address the problem because there are people like us that can put them on the right path. So if I like the biggest advice I can give is deal with it head on. Like these problems aren't going to go away, and it's not going to magically fix itself. So deal with what's in front of you, do the next right thing, and get a good team around you.
Yeah, and for me, it's usually the first thing I do is run the person's credit because that's where we need to start. And I've had clients that have been diligent and just did the small things that they needed to do, and they were able to become homeowners that way. So a little consistency and, just a little bit of work on their part.
So Roseanne is, like I said, she's a great friend of mine, and she just does amazing things. She's helped out so many of my clients in the past. I can't thank her enough for what she's done. And education is so important in this real estate world and in these uncertain times. And I don't know if Skylar, if you want to touch on this topic, but man, as a realtor, I hear it all the time. I think we're going to wait. We're just going to wait. We're going to wait till the real estate market crashes. We're going to wait, you know, and I always would tell people, what are you waiting for? The longer you wait, the more you miss out. The opportunity is there now. So, but when you hear that from a realtor, of course, people are like, oh, yeah, that's what a realtor says. He says, you need to buy now. No, but there are reasons why, and I would love to have the opportunity to share with you. But to hear it from a mortgage lender that's been in the business for 30 years, here it is. I'm gonna wait. I'm just gonna wait. How do you respond to that, Roseanne?
Well, you're just going to keep making your landlord rich and not building equity and not having the benefit of home ownership. And so right now with the rental rates very high in Las Vegas, they may as well buy because they can, what I usually show them, what they can pay for a house, monthly payment, really makes them happy because they're already renting and paying that amount. Maybe they pay a little bit more, but they're building equity.
Skylar, do you want to touch that one, or what do you think?
It's cliche, but the truth often is more millionaires were created through real estate investing than any other source, and none of them became millionaires by waiting. This is something that Roseanne can attest to. 30 years ago, the median home price in the United States, $30,000. How many people back then waited and they're not able to sell today for 500,000? Because that's the median home price in the United States right now. And the really crazy part that will really blow your mind, if trends continue and inflation continues and spending continues, that $500,000 house today will be sold for $4.2 million in the year 2052. And that's tough to wrap my head around because that means the cashier at Walmart will be a six-figure position. But my grandmother didn't think that milk was going to be $5 a gallon back in the 50s either. So waiting never helped anybody. The only thing that anybody ever appreciated from waiting is the song by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And he even says it, the waiting is the hardest part. Maybe it's actually the worst part.
Right. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're just paying rent, you're paying. People say, I want to wait. And I guess they really don't understand. But when you wait for something to go down, realize that you're paying 100% of your money. That's how much money you're losing, is 100%. And people say, well, I want to wait until the market goes down maybe 3 or 4 or 5%. If the market goes down 5%, then I'm going to buy. But what about the 100% of the money you're losing with rent? And I think I was having a talk we had lunch the other day, and Roseanne shared something about that in relation to rentals and how much money they lose.
Yeah, we had a little graph, and it just showed how much money in 5 years that renter has just thrown away. It's just mind-boggling.
All right. Well, is it time for my surprise yet, guys? Or do you have anything else that you guys want to add? Because this is a big surprise.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Me too.
Roseanne doesn't even know what the surprise is. So next month we are going to be at the San Gennaro Italian Festival, and this is a very special festival for me. My stepfather was Sicilian, and we were very close. He actually taught me how to make an amazing marinara sauce, but that's a whole nother podcast. And so going to the Italian Festival, this is the 42nd annual. Me and Roseanne and Skylar, we like to kind of think out of the box a little bit. I've talked to a few realtors, and they're like, "What are you doing? What are you doing that for?" Well, there's going to be 80,000 of our closest friends. It's right in our backyard. It's going to be at the M Hotel. We're going to have a booth. We would love for people to come out, visit us. And here's the surprise: we are giving away a 7-day vacation to Cabo San Lucas, all paid for, in a 2-bedroom condo. Is it 2-bedroom? 1 bedroom? I don't remember. 1-bedroom condo in Cabo San Lucas, airfare included. And all you have to do is come out, visit us. You're going to register for either the rent-to-own program. You're going to register with Roseanne about a refi or about possibly buying a home. It's going to be really simple. Take you 30 seconds to fill out the form, and you're going to be able to win a trip to Cabo San Lucas. We're super excited about the event. And the food, like I said, it's the 42nd annual Italian Food Festival. The food is amazing out there. It's the greatest venue in the city. I used to do it as a martial art instructor. This will be my first year of doing it as a realtor and talking to people about real estate. So we're super excited. I hope you guys can come. I know you love Italian food, right?
I do. I can make good Italian food too.
So, Skylar, you got to fly in for this one. I'm telling you, it's going to be amazing.
Honestly, the only thing I can think about right now is what was his name, Paul Sorvino, cutting the garlic in while he was in prison with the razor blade.
Goodfellas,
Like
yeah, I just watched that the other day.
Goodfellas, there you go. That every time I slice garlic, that's what's in my mind, and until I get to that level, I'll never be a black belt garlic slicer.
Well, I want to thank everybody for watching. We put this together in a day and a half, so for us to be able to put it together. The editor and our videographer is Paul. Paul, thank you so much for putting this together for us. We really appreciate you. You're amazing. You always do great work. And we plan on doing more of these. We just want to give out education. This is free advice. Somebody was asking me the other day, they said, I want to talk to a lender, but I'm not really sure if I'm ready. Every lender that I've ever met, especially her, it's free. You call them up and they give you the information. They tell you what you need to be a homeowner. So it's worth it to call them, get the information. Realtors, we do the same thing. We give advice. We're going to tell you the way it is. And if you like us, great. If you don't, there's plenty of other realtors. But we would love to help you guys. And again, thank you guys for tuning in. I know I've said a lot today, but I want to let Skylar and Roseanne plug their businesses and plug their companies and let people know how they can get a hold of them. You can get me. You guys have found me on my Facebook page. So I'm sure you know how to get a hold of me. So Roseanne, tell them how they can find you. And
yeah, they could call me. We're at 5 Star Mortgage. We're on Pecos and the 215 right here in Henderson. And our number is 702-947-STAR. And I'd love to talk to you, give you some advice, and get you started.
And David and Roseanne have all my information. The reality is, not everybody wants to talk to me, but a lot of people need to. And usually the ones that need to, it's when I get an email from Roseanne or from you, David, that says, hey, we need you to reach out to this client for a free consultation. And just like has been said already, I'm all about giving out advice. If you've tuned in for even just the last 2 minutes, you've picked up that I really like the sound of my own voice. And I'm not afraid to use it. So we do free consultations. I'm happy to give out advice, answer questions. I answer the questions that people are afraid to ask the two of you. So if anybody here needs to get a hold of me, David and Roseanne have all my information. Name of the company is 360 Credit Consulting. You can find our website at 360 Credit Consulting if you want to learn more about us. There's no such thing as a dumb credit question except the one you're too afraid to ask. And I've been operating under that philosophy for a long time, and it's worked out pretty well so far.
Skylar, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks,
all the way
Skylar.
from Colorado. And, we're really not, we want to gain a new client, obviously, but we really like giving out the information. We want to make sure that people don't make mistakes. We don't want to have you have regrettable experiences where you have buyer's remorse or anything like that. So the more education you have, the more knowledge you have, the better choices you can make, the better decisions you can make. And by having somebody like us helping you with your plan to get to your dreams, that's what we do. So hope you have a great week. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Don't forget, free trip to Cabo San Lucas next month, September 21st through September 25th. We'll be out there. We'll be saying hello. We'll be giving away all kinds of different prizes, and somebody's going to win a trip to Cabo San Lucas. So everybody have a great week. Thanks a lot for joining in. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.